Hi everybody, welcome back to Wenatchee River Institute's Plant ID series. This week we are joined by guest naturalist Lisa Therrell, and she's going to be identifying a plant called Goldenrod, which you can find here at the Wenatchee River Institute's Native Plant Garden. Enjoy!
Hi, I'm Lisa Therrell, and I am going to do a tutorial today on goldenrod. Welcome to my yard, which is in Mary Canyon, a side canyon off the Chumstick. I am a volunteer for WRI. I served on the board for 3 years, and I especially like to volunteer doing things with plants. So the plant we're going to look at today is called Canada goldenrod or meadow goldenrod. It's Solidago canadensis. It's found all across North America. In fact, there's only 6 states that does not have this particular species. It likes to grow in meadowy, sunny areas where the soils are wet for part of the year, or it can even be in an open forest where there's quite a bit of sunlight. We're going to go down to the creek where we have a lot of goldenrod blooming, and we'll take a closer look. So here we are down by Chumstick Creek in a meadow that has lots of native plants and some non-native plants. But one of our beautiful natives is goldenrod. This time of year, if you see a great big sweep of gold in a meadow and the flowers look kind of like a dust mop head, you're probably seeing goldenrod. So goldenrod is, first we'll take a look at the flowers, and I'm going to show you one of my neat little tricks. You can take a pair of binoculars and turn them upside down and then zoom in to get a close look at things like flowers. So I can see that the flowers on this goldenrod are, they're actually 2 kinds of flowers in one. So this whole head is made up of hundreds of tiny little flowers, and each flower is comprised of disc flowers and ray flowers because it's in the Asteraceae family, which is the same as sunflowers. And I brought something to show you. I brought a sunflower because I wanted you to understand that the ray flowers, which are what we would think of as the petals, this is actually an individual flower. And then in the middle, there is a different type of flower called disc flowers. On the goldenrod, the flowers develop what's called an achene, which is the seed, and it's like a dandelion where it's little fluffy parachute that will carry the seed away in the wind, although they're a lot smaller than dandelion seeds. If you look at the stem very closely, and I would have to use my binoculars, the upper half of the stem has little teeny tiny hairs that are hard to see. The leaves on the goldenrod are very long and slender. They're called lanceolate or lance shaped, and they have teeth on the edges. They're in a alternate arrangement on the stem instead of opposite, so that helps you identify it. And then the roots are really interesting. I dug one up in my flower garden where I don't want this because it would form a great big clump, but the very bottom part of the plant is called a rhizome. So this looks like the root, but what it is an underground stem, and then there's roots coming off of it. And if you look very carefully, you'll see that there's a little tiny red bud, and that's what will put up another shoot. The scientific name is Solidago, and that means to make whole, which refers to the medicinal qualities. We're back up in the part of the yard by our house, and some of the last things I wanted to leave you with was the idea of creating islands of habitat in your own yard. And we realized we could leave an area unmowed to favor some of the native plants, like we have the goldenrod and mule's ears, some native grasses, some asters. So this creates a good place for pollinators. Conservation biologists have a concept they call pollen corridors or nectar corridors for nectaring butterflies. So I learned that monarch butterflies will use goldenrod in the fall as a source of nectar so they can build up fat for their long migration that they do down to California. So by leaving some areas of habitat in your yard, even if they're very small, they can serve like stepping stones for the long migration that butterflies face. Thank you so much for listening in today about goldenrod.